What does the Vatican know that it has never dared to reveal? What secrets lie hidden deep within its forbidden archives? Why does the Church keep locked away documents that could change everything we believe about the end of times? For centuries, we've been told about the apocalypse as a distant warning, as a prophecy yet to be fulfilled. But what if what's written in the last book of the Bible isn't the whole truth? What if, buried beneath the sacred walls of Rome, there are scrolls capable of describing an ending far more terrifying than anything we've ever imagined? Behind the reinforced doors of the Vatican secret archives, an underground labyrinth with more than 53 miles of shelving, to which only a handful of people are granted access, are stored. Manuscripts that the public has never seen. Ancient writings where some claim forgotten prophets describe cosmic disasters, spiritual battles, and even the rise of powers that will shape the final destiny of humanity. But the question remains, why have we never been allowed to see them? If they were nothing more than myths, harmless stories, why keep them hidden for more than 1,000 years? Some researchers insist that these forbidden texts reveal an apocalypse very different from the one we know. Not as a metaphor, but as a detailed plan, with dates, names, and precise signs that are already unfolding before our very eyes. Others say they contain direct references to nations that will take part in the final war of mankind. And most disturbing of all, that these documents point to the hidden power sustaining the Vatican from the shadows. Could it be that within those walls lies the true identity of the beast, or perhaps a spiritual map, connecting fallen angels to the most powerful governments of our time? The Vatican officially denies these theories. But if nothing of the sort existed, then why restrict access only to cardinals and a few selected scholars? Why protect those corridors as if they hold something too dangerous for humanity to know? Every generation of popes has left behind cryptic phrases, words that, when analyzed, seem to carry warnings too great to be spoken openly, as if they knew more than they could ever admit, as if they feared revealing too much. Today, we will step into that forbidden mystery. We will open the door to what only a few have dared to uncover. Because if the whispers are true, then the apocalypse is not just an ancient book filled with symbols. It is a hidden reality, written down, sealed away, waiting for its time to be unleashed. What you are about to discover could change not only how you see faith, but also how you understand the future. Because if the Vatican holds the truth, then perhaps the end has already begun. To understand the magnitude of this mystery, we must travel to the very heart of the Vatican, to a place that does not appear in tourist guides or postcards. Hidden beneath fortified vaults and endless corridors lies an archive described as the most secret in the world, the Archivum Secretum Vaticanum. This archive is not an ordinary library. It is a hidden world that holds over 1,000 years of history, letters from kings, manuscripts from prophets, and documents that have never been shown to the public. Some researchers describe it as a labyrinth of forbidden secrets, where every shelf conceals a mystery capable of reshaping humanity's perception of faith, politics, and the final destiny of the world. Why such secrecy? Why does the Church keep locked away texts that could shed new light on the apocalypse? And most importantly, what are they afraid we might discover? The Apocalypse, the final book of the New Testament, has remained for centuries as one of the greatest enigmas of the Bible. Beasts with multiple heads, warrior angels, natural catastrophes, and the coming of a final kingdom. Yet what few realize is that there are parallel texts, ancient writings and commentaries that were never included in the official Bible. Many of them remain hidden in the Vatican archives, inaccessible to the public eye. Some of these manuscripts allegedly describe celestial signs that align with events we are witnessing today. Unusual eclipses, sudden wars, pandemics crossing borders without warning. There are even warnings about world leaders who, according to these visions, would play a central role in the ultimate confrontation. Coincidence or prophetic fulfillment? Those few who have had access to these forbidden documents suggest that their contents are so disturbing they could shake the faith of millions. Because these are not merely symbolic visions, but specific warnings, names and dates that mirror modern history. What is even more intriguing is that certain Vatican exorcists and theologians have hinted in interviews and writings that they know far more than they can openly admit, as if there exists an invisible line that must never be crossed, a truth too dark, too dangerous to reveal. But what if what the Vatican hides is not just a religious secret, but a hidden plan that involves all of humanity? What if the apocalypse is not a metaphor but a countdown that has already begun? In this investigation, we will go beyond theories. We will enter the darkest passages, the forbidden visions, and the signs that are now repeating themselves in our world. Because if these documents are real, then we are not looking at an ancient story. We are facing the prelude to an end that could be far closer than we ever imagined. As we delve into the Vatican's secret archives, we find they are not simply shelves of old books. We are talking about miles upon miles of documents, many of which have never been digitized or translated. Hidden among dusty scrolls and forgotten codices are testimonies from popes, letters from kings, treaties with empires, and most disturbing of all, writings that speak of the apocalypse in a way very different from what we have been taught. Some scholars claim to have leaked small fragments. These suggest that within those texts are warnings describing celestial phenomena in astonishing detail. Rains of fire, endless eclipses, earthquakes occurring simultaneously across the globe. Signs that curiously match what the Apostle John wrote in the book of Revelation. But here lies the terrifying difference. The Vatican manuscripts allegedly add details never revealed before, specific dates, names of cities, even direct references to contemporary leaders destined to play a role in the final war of mankind. Could it be that the Vatican knows exactly when and where what we call the end of times will unfold? Even more intriguing are the rumors that hidden within those archives are astrological maps created by medieval scholars, maps supposedly used by popes and cardinals to interpret the signs of the heavens, charts that trace planetary alignments directly tied to biblical prophecies, such as the arrival of the great sign in heaven described in Revelation 12. Could it be that these visions have already begun to unfold in our own era? Now imagine for a moment that these documents speak not only of disasters, but also of dark pacts. Some researchers believe the secret archives contain evidence of connections between religious orders, governments, and hidden societies that shaped history in preparation for an ultimate climax. As if the apocalypse were not just a spiritual event, but a carefully monitored plan, overseen by the elites of the world. The mystery deepens with the testimonies of Vatican exorcists themselves. In interviews, many declared that the evil they confront daily is not symbolic, but real. Words that suggest the visions of the apocalypse are not metaphorical illustrations, but direct descriptions of spiritual forces actively influencing our present. And so the question rises again, what is the Vatican so afraid we might discover? Why were these additional visions and prophecies never included in the official Bible? Perhaps because their content could completely alter humanity's understanding of its destiny. Today, as we witness unexpected wars, global economic crises, pandemics that paralyze nations, and increasingly extreme natural disasters, many are beginning to wonder, are these not the very signs described in those forbidden documents? And if that is the case, is it possible that the end is no longer a distant warning, but a process already underway, carefully recorded, carefully hidden beneath the walls of the Vatican? The deeper we go into this mystery, the more disturbing the pieces of the puzzle become. This is not merely about dusty archives or forgotten manuscripts. It is about warnings that, little by little, seem to be coming alive in our present. Some historians claim that among the forbidden documents are testimonies left by popes themselves, writings never published, where they confess to having terrifying visions of the future. One pope allegedly described a world covered in darkness, ruled by an invisible force that controls entire nations. Words that, when read in the light of today's events, sound less like a metaphor and more like a direct warning. Did these men know something we do not? Could it be that the leaders of the church had knowledge of the apocalypse they never dared to reveal? There are also rumors of letters exchanged between medieval cardinals and kings, speaking of secret pacts and prophecies predicting the fall of empires. Documents that, according to some researchers, are directly tied to the visions in the book of Daniel and the Revelation of John. What is most unsettling is that many of these descriptions align with what we are experiencing today: sudden wars, widespread famine, and uncontrollable plagues. But the intrigue does not end there. Within those documents, there are said to be references to celestial signs that would serve as prophetic clocks. One such sign, the darkening of 3 consecutive moons, as a precursor to the rise of the beast. Another, the appearance of a blazing star falling upon the earth, bringing destruction on a scale never seen before. Curiously, astronomical. Phenomena resembling these descriptions have begun to appear in recent years. Coincidence or fulfillment? Testimonies from Vatican exorcists reinforce these fears. On more than one occasion, they have declared that evil is organizing itself on a global scale and that what is coming will not only be spiritual, but also physical and worldwide. Statements that echo the forbidden visions, supposedly locked away within the Vatican's vaults. Perhaps the most chilling element of all is the mention of a central figure, a political religious leader who would rise during a time of global chaos, promising peace, but bringing destruction. A figure described as the great deceiver, capable of seducing entire multitudes and leading them into the final collapse. Could this be the very figure the Bible names as the Antichrist? Is it possible that the Vatican identified this character's traits centuries ago and chose to remain silent out of fear? Every clue leads us toward the same conclusion, that these hidden documents do not merely describe symbols, but deliver clear warnings, with names, dates, and signs that seem to fit perfectly with our present day. And if that is true, then we are not speaking of an ancient story or a distant myth. We are speaking of a prophetic clock that is still ticking, and whose final hour appears to be drawing ever closer. The time has come to face the most disturbing question of all. What does the Vatican truly hide about the apocalypse? The most persistent rumors suggest that deep within its vaults lie documents that describe in precise detail not only the signs of the end, but the complete unfolding of human history. Scrolls that speak of a final war between powerful nations, of a leader who will rise with words of peace only to bring devastation, and of a cataclysm so great it would mark the beginning of a new era. Imagine opening an ancient manuscript and finding, written in fading ink, a warning that matches word for word the events of our time. Pandemics sweeping across borders, nations clashing over power and resources, natural disasters increasing in frequency and intensity. It would be impossible to dismiss the connection. Some researchers claim the Vatican knows these signs are no coincidence, but rather prophetic fulfillment. And that is why these writings have been kept hidden, for fear of triggering global panic, or even a collapse of faith itself. But in doing so, they may also have deprived humanity of the chance to understand what truly lies ahead. Among the most frequently mentioned texts is one known as the Prophecy of the Last Moon. This manuscript allegedly describes a blazing star falling upon the earth, splitting the seas and darkening the skies for days. Its impact cannot be underestimated, especially when compared to the biblical description of wormwood in Revelation. Another forbidden document, according to rumors, reveals that the Antichrist would not be a symbolic figure, but a real person, identified centuries ago by Vatican authorities, not by name but by characteristics and signs, all of which appear to align with modern leaders who now wield the power to ignite wars and manipulate entire economies. And there is more. The archives are said to contain records of papal visions in which armies of angels descend upon modern cities, clashing with forces of darkness that take human form, scenes that seem far from symbolic, visions of a spiritual battle destined to erupt in the physical world. Is it possible that these visions are already beginning to unfold? What if humanity is now living the opening chapters of that long-announced end? The climax of this mystery is chilling. Everything points to the Vatican guarding a truth so dangerous that, if revealed, it could change the course of history forever. Because if the apocalypse is no longer a distant future but a hidden present, then we are standing at the threshold of the greatest conspiracy of all time. The prophetic clock continues to tick. The signs are before our very eyes, and what once seemed like only a sacred book may, in fact, be the most precise warning ever written about the ultimate destiny of mankind. After walking through the corridors of mystery, after mentally opening those fortified doors of the Vatican and glimpsing what might lie within its most forbidden archives, we arrive at a disturbing conclusion. The apocalypse is not merely a distant vision or a symbol to interpret. It may already be unfolding, recorded and hidden away for centuries. If the rumors are true, the Vatican possesses documents that describe in detail the signs of the end, the rise of a deceiving leader, the fall of nations, and a cataclysm that will divide history into a before and an after. Writings that, if revealed, would not only challenge centuries of religious tradition, but could completely transform the way humanity understands faith, history, and the future. The silence of the Church, the secrecy of its archives, and its refusal to share these texts with the world only feed the suspicion that the truth is too dangerous to be exposed? Do they fear that humanity is not ready to face it? Or is the knowledge contained in those documents so powerful that revealing it would unleash chaos beyond control? The parallels between the forbidden manuscripts and what we are experiencing today cannot be ignored. Sudden wars, global economic crises, pandemics that bring entire nations to a halt, and increasingly frequent natural disasters all appear to be pieces of a prophetic puzzle slowly completing itself before our very eyes. And yet the most unsettling aspect is not what we already see, but what may still be hidden. If the writings about the Antichrist, the blazing star, and the final battle between angels and demons are real, then what is approaching is not simply a change of era, but a spiritual and physical confrontation that will reshape the world forever. The conclusion is clear. The question is no longer if the apocalypse will occur, but rather whether we must accept the possibility that it has already begun, and that every global event is not coincidence but part of a countdown that someone somewhere may know with precision and has chosen to keep secret. The Vatican's mystery does not provide us with definitive answers, but it does leave us with one chilling certainty, that the truth, sooner or later, will come to light, and when it does, the entire world will be forced to confront a reality that has remained hidden for centuries. History, faith, and the destiny of humanity seem to be converging toward the same end, and perhaps the only thing left for us is to remain watchful, to observe the signs, and to prepare for the moment when prophecy is no longer a secret, but becomes our reality. We have reached the end of this journey, but what you have heard is not the end of the story. It is only the beginning of a revelation that could change everything. The questions remain. What secrets does the Vatican keep within those forbidden archives? Why are we not allowed to know the full truth about the apocalypse? And what role are we playing in this prophetic clock that seems to be approaching its final hour? Every sign, every prophecy, every hidden fragment leads us to the same conclusion. Humanity is living through a decisive moment, and while many choose to close their eyes, you and I know that ignoring these warnings will not stop what is coming. But this is where your role becomes crucial. The truth should not remain locked away behind stone walls, sealed in secret passages accessible only to a chosen few. The truth must be shared. It must be brought into the light. It must reach those who still believe the apocalypse is only a metaphor and not a reality, already in motion. That is why I invite you not to let this message fade here. Share this video with those you know, because they too may be searching for answers. Subscribe to this channel, because together we will continue to explore the forbidden mysteries, the hidden prophecies, and the truths history has tried to silence. What you have seen today is only one piece of a much larger puzzle. Each video, each investigation, will bring us one step closer to understanding what is truly at stake. Not only our history, but our eternal destiny. Remember, this is not about fear, it is about preparation. It is not about living in uncertainty, but about opening our eyes and recognizing the signs right before us. Because while many dismiss these events as coincidences, those who pay attention know that prophecy has never been more alive than it is now. The Vatican may attempt to keep these secrets hidden, but we can bring them into the light. The question is, are you ready to see beyond what is obvious? Do your part, leave your comment, share your thoughts, and keep this conversation alive. Because only together, with more voices seeking the truth, can we approach what has been concealed for centuries. The apocalypse is no longer a distant mystery. It is here, pulsing in every headline, in every disaster, in every global movement pushing humanity toward an inevitable climax. And the only way to be prepared is not to remain silent. The prophetic clock is still ticking. The countdown has not stopped. And perhaps you are among the few who will open their eyes before it is too late.